Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Salwa Al-Arif, Marketing Manager from Synaptic and Regulix. I'm happy to have you joining us today for the third webinar from the series Stop Fraud with Data. It's a series co-hosted by Regulix and Synaptic. We are very happy to have a diverse audience of telecom regulators, operators, from across regions to this webinar that will be focusing on the One-Ring fraud and how data monitoring can help tackle it. This session will be presented by Selwa Shleiri, our data scientist, and Yassine Lassouri, our product manager, who is going to be here to answer your questions at the end of this session. Before we begin, let me just share a few guidelines to ensure everyone has the best experience today. So please keep your microphone and camera off during the session to avoid any background noise. If you would like to ask questions, you can just type them into the Q&A box at any time during the presentation. We will address them during the Q&A session at the end. Feel free, of course, to ask your questions in either French or English. This webinar is going to be recorded, and the recording and the presentation are going to be shared with you after the webinar. Also, I want to inform our Francophone participants that a French version of this webinar and all the other webinars from this series are going to be shared with you very soon, so please stay tuned. Throughout this session, Selwa will take us into what's a Wangiri fraud, the impacts of this fraud, the tools for Wangiri detection and monitoring, best practices, and more. Now, I just want to take you into a quick introduction to the organizations behind this webinar. This webinar is brought to you by Synaptic and Regulix, two companies working hand in hand to provide data-driven solutions for telecom monitoring and fraud prevention. Synaptic's suite of data solutions include S1 Fraud for fraud detection and monitoring. It's a solution leveraging machine learning. S1 Era for revenue assurance and reconciliation. S1 MFS to help operators elevate mobile money transactions monitoring, and S1 KOs for quality of service monitoring. Meanwhile, Regulix suite of solutions include solutions like RX Fraud for fraud monitoring, RX MFS for mobile money monitoring, also RX Analytics for KYC and quality of service monitoring, and RX Tax. In 2024, our joint solutions had measurable impact as 20 plus 28 SIM cards were detected daily in active SIM box operations. An average of 4,000 minutes of bypassed international traffic was blocked per day, and $1,800 per day was avoided in revenue loss. So now I think without further delay, I'll hand the webinar to Selwa, who will talk us through today's topic and insights. Selwa, you can start.
Thank you, Salwa. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. I'm really glad that you are here because we are going to talk about something that can catch anyone off guard, a sneaky kind of phone scam called the Wangiri scam. It's also known as the One-Ring and Cat scam. Now, Wangiri is actually a word from Japan, and it literally means one ring and cat. Pretty straightforward, right? Here's how it works. So scammers use automated systems to make your phone ring just once, and then they hang up. That's it. A single ring and they are gone. So why do they do that? Well, they are trying to trick you into calling them back. And when you do, that's when they get you. Because you are not just calling a regular number that caller out you to an expensive premium rate international line, and suddenly, without even realizing it, you are racking up huge charges just for connecting. It's a really clever scam because it plays on something we all do. We see a missed call from a number we don't recognize. Maybe it looks important, so we call back. And if the number looks like it's from our area, it feels even more legit. Let me quickly walk you through again on what happens. So you get a missed call, usually from an international or unfamiliar number. You call back expecting to talk to someone or get some information, but instead you are connected to a premium service that charges you a lot of money per minute. And the worst part, these scammers often make the number look local, so it feels like it's safe. So that was the basic flow of the Wangiri scam. Simple, sneaky, and very costly. All right, so before we dive deeper into the Wangiri scam, let's take a moment to talk about premium rate numbers. So what exactly are premium rate numbers? These are special phone numbers that charge higher rates than regular calls. They are used in many legitimate ways. For example, you might call a premium rate number to get weather updates, join a contest, listen to a horoscope, or use services like psychic reading or even for adult chat. In these cases, we are paying for a service and the charges show up on your phone bill. Premium rate services are not just limited to calls, they are also used for SMS. A good example is TV shows like The Voice, where viewers send an SMS to vote for their favorite contestant. That text might cost more than the regular message because it's going to a premium number. Again, you are paying to participate in a service. And here is something many people don't realize. The money you pay doesn't all go to the mobile operator. The revenue from these premium calls or text is usually shared between the operator and the service provider. So if you vote in a show like The Voice, a part of what you pay goes to the TV show and part goes to the telecom provider. In Morocco, premium rate numbers often start with prefixes like 08 or 09. In other countries, they might use different codes, sometimes international looking ones. Now, while premium numbers can be used in perfectly legitimate ways, scammers have found a way to misuse it. And that brings us to the Wangiri scam, a trick that takes advantage of these numbers to make money off you. Let's take a closer look at how that works. Now that we understand what premium rate numbers are and how they work, let's break down how the Wangiri scam actually happens step by step. It all starts with the Wangiri caller, so the scammer running the operation. But they are not sitting there dialing numbers by hand. So they use something called the auto dialer, which is an automated system that can dial thousands, even millions of phone numbers from around the world in a very short time. So your phone rings, maybe once, maybe twice, and then stops. Just enough to leave a missed call. That's it. The scammer doesn't want to talk to you. What they really want is for you to call back. And that's where the real trap begins. If you call back, you are connected to what's called a content provider. These are the people who operate premium rate numbers. And in this case, they are working together with the scammers. Now, their goal is simple. Keep you on the line for as long as possible. They might play music, leave you on hold, or use automated voices that respond slowly. anything to stretch out the call. Because every second you stay connected means more charges for you and more money for them. At the end of the day, the money you are charged gets split between the Wangiri caller and the content provider. It's a partnership built entirely on tricking people into returning missed calls. So it's a global scam running across borders, and it works because it preys on something we feel: curiosity. Now that we understand how the Wangiri scam works, let's talk about its impact. This isn't just a small annoyance or one-time mistake. The effects go far beyond just the person who returns a missed call. In fact, it's a problem that affects the entire telecom ecosystem. Let's start with the mobile operators. For them, Wangiri scams means loss of revenue, possibly regulatory penalties, and even damage to their reputation. On top of that, they have to invest heavily in fraud detection systems, which raises costs for everyone. For telecom regulators, it's a constant challenge. These scams are international, often bouncing across borders, which makes enforcement really difficult. Regulators also face pressure from the public and the media to act quickly, even when it's hard to trace the source of the scam. And of course, the biggest impact is on the customer. So people lose real money from these scams. Some face high phone bills they weren't expecting. Others experience stress, feel like their privacy has been invaded, or even start to lose trust in their phone company. That emotional impact is just as real as the financial one. So when you add it all up, the global cost of one Wangiri scam is over $2 billion every year. That puts it among the top five types of fraud in the entire telecom industry. That's why it's important for all of us, customers, operators, and regulators, to stay aware, stay alert, and do what we can to protect ourselves and each other. So now that we have seen how damaging the Wangiri scam can be, let's talk about how we can actually detect it. The good news is Wangiri fraud leaves behind certain clues, and if we know what to look for, we can catch it early. One of the biggest signs, a pattern of very short calls, usually lasting less than 5 seconds. So why so short? Because as we have seen, the scammer isn't trying to talk to anyone. They just want the phone to ring once or twice, then hang up, hoping you will see the missed call and call back. So when we analyze call data, we look for sudden spikes in these short duration calls. For example, if we look at the graph of call traffic, we might see a sharp increase around day 15. That could be a red flag that something suspicious is happening. To spot these patterns, we can rely on two techniques. First, the threshold rules. That means we set limits. For example, if a single number is making hundreds or thousands of very short calls in a short time, we flag it. We flag it for investigation. Second, we have anomaly detection, which is a bit more advanced. So this uses machine learning to understand what normal calling behavior looks like, and then points out anything that's way outside the norm. Now, there is another big clue that helps us detect Wangiri scams, and that's sudden bursts of calls from a single source. So these scammers often use autodialers to send thousands of wandering calls in a very short time. So we are talking minutes, sometimes even just few seconds. And suddenly a flood of missed calls hits users all over the world. So how do we catch that? By looking at call volume over time, if we see a sudden spike, a huge jump in the number of calls coming from one source, that's a strong signal that something unusual is going on. Traditional systems handle this using what we call again thresholds. Basically, if a number makes more calls than it should in a short time, it gets flagged. So this is very simple and effective, but it's not perfect. Why not? Because sometimes legitimate businesses like call centers make a lot of calls too. And if we are not careful, we may end up blocking the wrong people. That's where AI comes in with machine learning. So we can train systems to recognize the difference between normal and suspicious behavior. So if a call center is making lots of calls but following a consistent expected pattern, the AI learns that and it just learns that it's a normal thing. But if a scammer is blasting out wandering calls in a strange, unpredictable way, it will stand out immediately. So far, we have looked at short calls and sudden bursts of activity as signs of Wangiri scams. But telecom companies don't rely on just one or two signals. They actually look at a whole range of patterns to catch this kind of fraud early. Let me walk you through a few more important ones. First, repeated missed calls. So this happens when the same number tries calling someone multiple times in a short period, maybe 3, 4, even 5 times within 10 minutes. It's a tactic designed to get your attention, make you think this must be important, I should call back. So that's exactly what the scammer wants. Second, calls to high risk of destination. Many Wangiri campaigns target premium rate numbers in specific countries, places known for hosting expensive phone services. So if a telecom suddenly sees a spike in calls from or to one of these areas, it raises a big red flag. Third, unusual call time patterns. Scammers often make their calls late at night or early in the morning, times when people are half asleep, less alert, and more likely to panic when they see a missed call. So these odd time patterns help flag potentially suspicious activity. Fourth, there is high call abandonment rates. So this means a large number of calls are being disconnected very quickly. Sometimes after just one ring, since Wangiri scammers don't want to talk to you, they hang up right away. So a high number of abandoned calls is a strong indicator that something fishy is going on. And finally, the multiple victims being targeted with the same number. So if one number is leaving missed calls on dozens or hundreds of phones, that's a strong sign of scam campaign. So scammers work like fishermen. So they cast a wide net and hope that someone will bite. So when telecom providers combine all of these patterns, repeat missed calls, high-risk destinations, strange call times, abundant calls, and mass targeting, they can detect Wangiri scams much more effectively and take action faster. So again, it's not just one clue, it's the whole picture that tells the story. So we have gone over all the signs that help detect Wangiri scams, short calls, sudden spikes, late night calls, and more. Now let's look at how we actually use those signs in real fraud detection systems, and the difference between the traditional rules and AI-powered systems. So with traditional rule-based detection, we use fixed thresholds. For example, we might flag every call that lasts less than 5 seconds, or any number that makes more than 100 calls an hour. So these rules can catch some suspicious activity, but they are limited. The problem is they are rigid, so they don't adapt when the scammers change their tactics, and they are often reactive, so meaning they only respond after the fraud has already started. Worse, they can lead to false positives, so flagging normal users as suspicious, like someone who accidentally redials or works in a call center. So that creates unnecessary friction and sometimes even damages trust. AI systems, on the other hand, are much more flexible and intelligent. So they are adaptive, they learn from patterns in real world data and adjust automatically as fraud strategies evolve. They are also proactive, often spotting unusual behavior before it becomes a full-blown scam. And they are autonomous, so they are able to detect subtle, hidden patterns that even experienced analysts might miss. So, by combining these AI tools with human expertise, analysts who understand the bigger picture, we create a much stronger and smarter defense. So, it's not just about responding to fraud, it's about staying ahead of it. And in the case of Wangiri scam, that can make all the difference. Now that we have looked at how Wangiri scams work and how we can detect them, let's explore the best practices that can help stop them before they do real damage. So to fight this kind of fraud effectively, we need a multi-layered defense. And here are 5 key steps that make a big difference. First, strengthening regulations. It's essential to have a clear and strict rules for how pre-enumerate numbers are issued and used. So there should also be clear responsibilities for international caller routing and strong rules to prevent caller ID spoofing. So one of the tricks that scammers use to hide their identity. So this kind of policies reduce the chance for abuse or at the system level. Second, using advanced fraud detection system. So with AI and machine learning, telecom providers can analyze millions of call records in real time. So these tools can spot unusual patterns really quickly and stop one-gate campaigns before they spread. So it's about being fast, smart, and proactive. Third, maintaining blacklists. So it's crucial to keep up to date block lists of known numbers and high risk international premium rate ranges. So this allows telecoms to block suspicious calls before they even reach customers. You can also use IVR warnings or interactive voice response warnings. So these are automated menus we sometimes hear when we call support lines. So these can be used to warn users, for example, about the price of the call, or if someone tries to call back a number known to be risky, the system can say, warning, this number has been flagged as potentially fraudulent. So that small pause might stop someone from making a costly mistake. And fifth, public awareness campaigns. So education is one of the most powerful tools we have. So if people know what a one-gary scam looks like, a missed call from a strange number, especially at odd hours, they are much likely to fall for it. They are much less likely to fall for it. Sorry. So simple advice like don't call back unknown international numbers can go a long way. So when we combine strong regulations with smart technology, updated blacklists, in-call warnings, and public education, we create layered defense, one that protects both customers and networks. Because in the end, the best way beat these scams is by staying one step ahead. Again, together as customers, regulators, or telecom operators. So that's it for me today. Thank you for tuning in, and please feel free to ask any questions.
Okay, we have a first question regarding the data source we can use to detect this kind of fraud. So basically, operators or regulators can rely on sorry, can rely on data that is coming from switches, CDR. So typically, if missed call coming from a national operator or an international operator, so they will go through a voice gateway, generally a GMSE. So if the GMSE is configured to generate CDR for missed call, this can be a source of data to be analyzed. But in reality, most of operators, they don't enable these kind of non-successful call for some reason. They want to keep disk space for successful call. So if missed call are not available in CDR, we rely on passive probe. So we use passive probe to capture the signaling at the link that transport these call. So basically, the caller will be the one who sent the initiation message of the call, and will be also the one who will release the call. So we filter only on the signaling message EIM, and just after there is a release message from the caller, and that is a powerful pattern to detect these missed call. Again, these missed call are just the data source that need to be fed into the system to detect if there is any anomaly, because sometimes due to quality of service issue, we can have non-successful call. Of course, they will not be scams, but real call. There is another question related to other scenario or technique used by scammer. So sometimes they will not just rely on voice, they will also rely on SMS. So they will send. The main difference is that a missed call does not cost anything, but sending an SMS, behind there is a cost for the fraudster. So sometimes when they have the possibility to bulk send SMS to many customers at a free cost or less expensive, so they send an SMS, and the idea behind is to ask the customer to call back a specific number. So it's another technique that they use to make customer generate back a call to a premium numbers. So yeah, analyzing also SMS can be helpful. Let's say that one of the data source that can be very important also is what we can crowdsource directly from customers. So if customers report this kind of scenario, it will be also helpful. Sometimes it's easy to know that it's a scammer when we receive missed call or SMS from international number that are not usually seeing them sending us a missed call or SMS. But sometimes we have scenario that we receive a missed call or SMS at a national level. Sometimes there is an operator or a fraudster behind an operator that want to generate traffic in the other sense. This is also another scenario. I have another question from Freda regarding how we can detect and block Wangiri scam calls before they reach the customers. Yeah, it's an interesting question. Yeah, there are two levels. We prefer to detect and block this range number before the customer they call back. So there are many techniques. One of the technique is that when we detect this number, usually it's a range of number from a specific country, especially from Asia. We can ask people behind the GMSE or other network department to block this range to make sure that they will not call back, and also customers cannot call this destination. Another technique, we can use what we call active probe. It means active probe will will detect the call at the signaling level and release the call immediately before it reached the customer. The only challenge with the active probe is that they need to be sized at the same level of the link they are sniffing. Yeah. So these two techniques can help to block these unwanted calls before they reach in to the customer. So the same for SMS with active probe, like a firewall, they can intercept the SMS, analyze the content, and detect it's a spam and block it before it got received by the customer. Again, is it legally operator block or not? It's another question that the regulator can answer. But in some country, it's better to classify the SMS and inform the customer that it's a spam. But operator have the obligation to release the SMS to the customer, but flag it as a spam, and it's up to the customer to decide to call back or not. So sometimes it's tricky to that operator take the decision and block the SMS. Sometimes also with the false positive for voice, is it a good choice that the operator take the decision and block a call? It's another discussion also, which implicates some legal requirement.
I think that's all for today's session. Thank you all for joining us today. We hope this session was insightful and you get valuable insights into how data-powered strategies can help you detect and stop Wangiri fraud. I just want to remind you to not miss the next episode in our series, which is gonna explore A2P SMS bypass. It's coming soon on the 19th of June. You will be directed in just a moment to the registration page. We encourage you to register to save your spot. On behalf of the teams of Regulix and Synaptic, thank you again for your time, participation, and great questions. We look forward to seeing you on the next session. And also Eid Mubarak to everyone who is celebrating. Thank you so much. And if you have any further question, just send them directly via email. Thank you and have a good day.